Disney has an MCU problem. What's up, Space Pirates? This is the Dr. Disaster Daily Show, and I am your host, the Dread Pirate Dr. Disaster. And today, we are going to discuss the abysmal viewership numbers of Secret Invasion, and what it means for the MCU at large.
Well, that's not good.
No, the viewership numbers of Secret Invasion are not good. In fact, they're downright bad. You may remember last week I made some predictions based on a Google Trends chart that I pulled up, and those predictions turned out to be fairly accurate. This week, we are going to update our chart and see where things stand. We're going to see just how well this woke identity crap is paying off. Spoiler alert, it's not looking too good for the MCU. This has to be especially painful for Disney, considering just how much money they have lost in the past year on all of their projects, and considering how they've lost Disney Plus subscribers for 2 consecutive quarters. And in fact, this does not bode well for their chances of actually increasing the Disney Plus platform subscribers. Remember, in little over a month, we will have an update on the Disney Plus subscription count, and based on the reception of The Mandalorian Season 3 and now Secret Invasion thus far, the 2 biggest shows to have been released on Disney Plus since the last Disney Plus subscription count update, it would seem most people have reached the same conclusion that I have. There are better ways to spend your money than on funding a company that hates us and wants to preach at us. I can't wait to see how the Disney stock price tanks if those numbers go down again.
What is this? What is this? Where's all the money?
That's as good as money, sir. Those are IOUs.
We're going to have a look at the Secret Invasion viewership numbers, we're going to take a look at why they might be as bad as they are, and then we will finish things off by updating our Google Trends chart. So grab a bucket of popcorn and prepare your schadenfreude, because the people at Disney refuse to listen to anything, not even the raw numbers which suggest this woke crap isn't selling. And it is always fun to laugh at people who stubbornly refuse to learn from their mistakes.
Oh look, an idiot. Let's point and laugh.
Alright then, let's have a look at this article from MovieWeb. The headline reads, Secret Invasion premiere has one of the worst MCU viewer numbers. Secret Invasion was expected to be Marvel's next big Disney Plus TV series, but the show has pulled the second lowest viewership of the franchise.
I've been saying it. I've been saying it for 10 damn years. Ain't I been saying it, Miguel? Huh? I've been saying it.
I told you so is a wonderful thing to be able to say. This show was clearly going to be a dud based on the numbers my research came up with last week. Several loudmouth corporate simping crackheads decided to argue with me in the comment section about how the MCU is still as great as ever, and they said I'm just a racist and the majority would show up for this show, but the numbers don't lie. Let's read the article so I can do my victory lap. It says, Marvel fans have been waiting a long time for Secret Invasion to come to the MCU, but now the series is here. It has landed with a barely audible thump rather than a big fanfare welcome. The viewing figures for last week's premiere episode have now been released by Samba TV and have shown the arrival of Nick Fury's major new show to be the second lowest premiere of any MCU TV series. According to the figures, Secret Invasion landed with 994,000 US households tuning in to see how the Skrull invasion of the MCU begins, which is only just higher than the 775,000 that tuned in to see Ms. Marvel make her MCU debut. Less than 1 million households watched this show. Considering how much a company like Disney will have spent on marketing, this is pathetic. And to make matters worse, typically these shows drop off in viewership because naturally not everyone will like the show, and some people will tune out next week. The best way to reverse that trend is through strong word of mouth, attracting new viewers, but this is also the worst rated MCU show on Rotten Tomatoes. The magic simply isn't here, and it's hard to imagine people will be tuning in anytime soon. The article continues with a little bit of cope. MovieWeb apparently wants to simp for their corporate overlords. The article says, while this is still much higher than many regular shows, compared to Loki's 2.5 million, Moon Knight and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier's 1.8 million, and WandaVision's 1.6 million, this is another blow for the Marvel machine considering the underperformance of movies like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. In fact, when it comes to Marvel's live-action shows, even the heavily criticized She-Hulk drew in 50% more viewers for its debut, which makes Secret Invasion's numbers even more of a head-scratcher for Marvel Studios and Disney. The only other series that came in around the level of Secret Invasion was the animated What If series, which drew in 1 million. Now, the rest of this article is them trying to give a bunch of excuses for why Secret Invasion isn't doing well. The main thrust of their idea seems to be the fact that the show seems to be a slow burn and it hasn't gotten exciting yet. But of course, how would people know it's a slow burn unless they actually watched it? How do they account for the MCU audience dropping 500,000 households from She-Hulk to this series? The truth is, they can't, without facing up to some uncomfortable facts concerning the way Disney has been doing business the past several years. Woke, identitarian storytelling, where heroes we love are emasculated, is driving folks away. This article came out last week from Bounding Into Comics. I couldn't find time to cover it with everything that's been happening, but now's as good a time as any because it explains why a lot of people, like myself, might not be interested in this show. The headline says, Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion director says the series has a really interesting, subversive Marvel tone. Well, I don't know about you, but I can do without subversion. I've had enough of Disney subversion to last a lifetime. And this is enough for me to know I won't be watching it right here. People are sick and tired of seeing characters subverted and deconstructed by jackass writers who think they are so much smarter than the creators of these characters. Newsflash, you dumb a-holes. You are not smarter than Stan Lee. But I digress. The article states, in the show's production notes provided to Bounding Into Comics, the show's director, Salim, discussed the series, first explaining how it focuses on Nick Fury. He shared, it goes back to Nick Fury. It's the Nick Fury story, and Nick is a human. Whatever we think about his trench coat and his eye patch and how cool Sam Jackson is, Nick Fury is a human. He's a human with a certain kind of power, but not a superpower like Captain America or Captain Marvel. So, that immediately demands a more grounded, gritty series. Salim continued, I think that the series has a really interesting subversive Marvel tone that takes it and flips it on its head, which I think will challenge and surprise and please the audience and give them something unique and different. Ironically, whatever subversive tone Salim believes the show has, the series' executive producer Jonathan Schwartz revealed the show is more of the same propaganda in the form of a superhero story that modern Marvel Studios has increasingly become known for. He relayed, "I felt that the Skrulls could be used as a metaphor for the current state of the world and the spread of disinformation and lack of trust." And Kevin Feige suggested I look at this scene from Spider-Man Far From Home, in which it's revealed that Fury is actually Talos impersonating him, with the implication that they'd had a relationship going back decades, he added. Salim noted he indeed explored the theme. Everybody draws a line in the sand. Everybody mistrusts someone. It's what humans have always done. Look at the world today. Who do you trust? Well, there it is. I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of these idiots trying to create allegories about the world today, especially when they are so obviously, blatantly biased toward one particular worldview. And I suggest they start paying attention to the fact that I'm not alone. Thousands of us, probably millions of us, have tuned out because of exactly this mentality. And clearly, sacrificing a massive chunk of the audience has not resulted in drawing in new viewers. Let's take a look now at the Google Trends chart to see where we are at. Just as a reminder for those who don't know, Google Trends shows us how often a search term is put into the Google search engine. It does not show an exact number of times something has been searched, but it shows trends and it shows percentages. This is useful when comparing one search term to another. It is useful when you are trying to gauge the enthusiasm for a particular search term. Now, you may remember last week that Secret Invasion was a tiny little blip on the radar compared to the other MCU shows. Well, this week it has gone up, but only a bit. Secret Invasion is represented by the line in blue over here on the right, and it is still the least searched up term of any MCU show, coming in at about 80% of the popularity of Ms. Marvel at its peak, which is represented by the line in red. Now, Ms. Marvel received a lot of negative attention. I think a lot of people may have searched that show up out of amusement and to hear how they were screwing it up, but those people had no interest in watching the show, which explains why it was searched up more than Secret Invasion, but still remains the lowest viewed of the MCU shows. Secret Invasion now comes in at about half the interest of She-Hulk at its peak, represented by the line in yellow. It comes in at a bit over a third of Moon Knight's interest, represented by the green line. Moon Knight harkens back to a time when people still had interest in the MCU shows, but Marvel Phase 4 burned bridges, and you can tell. The shows have fallen off a cliff in the past year or so, and Phase 5 isn't doing so hot either. So far, Secret Invasion, the first Phase 5 MCU show, is at 22% of the interest shown for the first and most popularly searched up show, WandaVision, represented by the line over on the left-hand side in purple. Clearly, interest in Marvel as a whole has dwindled. In general, Nick Fury is a decently popular character, but a lot of us are tired of the subversion. A lot of us are tired of identity politics, and we aren't coming back until things change. I think a lot of people did some hate watching for shows like the controversial She-Hulk, but that bump is over. People who were once hate watching have now cut the cord, so to speak, with Disney Plus, and they're moving on. Apathy is setting in. As I have been saying for a long time, apathy is our #1 weapon against these jackasses at Disney. Corporate Disney wants to milk these properties for all that they're worth, but the funny thing is that these days, the properties are milking them. Disney is spending untold billions of dollars on films and TV shows that people aren't watching like they used to. Eventually, maybe, they will ask why that is in earnest. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booze.